Hi, it's Tim Hagen from Progress Coaching, and welcome to another episode for the Coaching Conversations podcast. Now, we are on Stitcher, we are on iTunes, and multiple different channels. Please check us out. Now, one of the things that you'll get out of our podcast episodes is a lot of content, a lot of strategy. It's not fluff, it's not concept, yet we really want you to engage with the content and let us know your feedback. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. If there's topics you'd love to have us address, we would love to share them with you. Let us know your impact and let us know your feedback. Anybody who knows me knows that I will do a deep dive into other subject matter, always looking for that nook and cranny, and probably to a point of fault. And I think about so many things that are out in the marketplace, from emotional intelligence, DISC, automation, AI. And recently I started to listen on Audible to Atomic Habits by James Clear. And it's a best-selling self-help book that provides a framework for building good habits and breaking the bad ones through small incremental changes, or what he calls atomic habits. Simple, but brilliant. Brilliant. And let me tell you why. When I think about the 4 laws of behavioral change that he talks about, from make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, make it satisfying, everything he talks about is really woven in tiny, consistent changes that compound into significant results over time. Now, my company's been named Progress Coaching for 30 plus years, and I believe in daily doses of progress. See, there's a great study done at Harvard by Teresa Amable talking about progress and the power of progress, that people are at their most motivated state 76% of the time when we're progressing. Here's the funny thing. I contend that sometimes people don't even know that they're progressing until we point it out. And that's where leaders come in. That's where coaching comes in. So think about that. Where are you progressing right now? Was that an easy answer for you? Was that a tough question to answer? Progress is powerful. And what I love that he talks about in his book, and it's a New York Times seller, it's in 60 languages, it really talks about focusing on, creating those habits, tiny, consistent changes that compound into significant results over time. Pretty simple stuff, but he does a phenomenal job of talking about how to utilize it, making it attractive, making it easy. And I'm going to give you a parallel to the coaching industry. When you pinpoint to somebody, and we have a lot of credit union clients, I'm going to give you a really good, fundamental, but yet recent example across multiple credit unions. And that's this. When you have a teller who needs to upsell and cross-sell, let me just identify that just for a second. That's not fun. What I mean by that is you are talking to somebody about their most valuable asset besides their children, their money. And you're asking them to look at some other financial products or to get a referral. And sometimes you feel like you're crossing the line. That's not easy. That's not easy. Yet if someone does it well and you pinpoint it and say, Joanne, I noticed that you were just, upselling and cross-selling. I noticed you got a referral, into our new CD products. Let me ask you something. How do you think that will help your goal of becoming a future team leader? And if you nurture that and you remind them of the WIFT, what's in it for them, really good things happen. If you have not read the book or listened to the book Atomic Habits, please do so. It's brilliant. Yet I think it's the same thing we as leaders need to do. We need to create those tiny coaching habits around this thing called progress. And when you pinpoint progress, they'll know what to repeat. When you reward their effort, they will move towards progress. Yet where we make the mistake is when we give people feedback of where they're just lacking results. What I mean by that is, I'm not saying we shouldn't pinpoint that, but if that is the only thing we do, we get ourselves in trouble. Let me give you another example. Recently, I was talking to a VP of sales, and he asked me to meet with 4 of their sales leaders. And I asked him the question. I said, well, how do you celebrate their effort? Nobody could answer me. How do you celebrate where they're progressing? Or how do you go about, in small doses, pinpointing where they're progressing? And one of the gentlemen very nicely said, Tim, it's all about results. I go, but it's not. And I said, and I can prove it to you with one statement if you're open to it. And he goes, sure. And we all started laughing. And I said, if it's all about results, that's what you said. He said, yeah. So it's all about results. So you're getting the results then, right? And he looked at me and he goes, oh, wow. I said, It's about helping people get better so you have predictable, sustainable results. That's where books like Atomic Habits should be read by every leader who wants to or needs to coach.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Coaching Conversations by Tim Hagen and Progress Coaching. Now, our company is always coming out with new and innovative solutions to help leaders coach their employees. And recently, we just created a new service called Coach to You, where leaders can pick and choose topics and assign 7 to 21 day programs for employees to learn and, more importantly, apply actions and then reflect and share what they're going to do going forward as a result of the learning. It's called Coach to You. We're literally bringing coaching to your employees. If you're intrigued, we'll have a link in each one of our episodes where you can get more information. And again, thank you so much for listening to another episode.